Our Weekend Watch always shines a spotlight on government activity. So this morning we're taking a closer look at the Illinois budget proposal and efforts that some are calling unrealistic. You can read more about this right now by the watchdog group Better Government Association. David Greising from the BGA is here this morning to break it all down for us. It is that time of year again when the budget is on the forefront with no clear answers.
No, and there's an end of the month deadline that the legislature has to have a budget by the end of the month, or else it becomes that much more difficult because you would need a bigger vote in order to pass a budget after May 31st. So we saw this happen once before in Governor Rauner's term, where we went almost 18 months with no budget. And if there's no budget passed by the end of the month, it could become really problematic for him again.
Governor's proposal right now, even the Civic Federation is calling it precarious.
Right. That's because there are some numbers in there that just kind of defy reality in a way. For example, $240 million is supposed to come from the sale of the Thompson Center. There's been a for sale sign on the Thompson Center for a really long time, and there's been no buyer in sight. So that's one thing. The other is he's assuming $825 million in savings from shifting pension and health care costs to local schools and communities, community colleges, state colleges. There's not political support for that idea. It's an interesting idea, but he just doesn't seem to have the votes at this point.
Right, but it would be interesting too, because if you think about education, community colleges, the support that they would have to say, wait a minute, we're already hurting right now. You can't put that on us.
They absolutely are hurting, and really what you're talking about is shifting that burden to local communities, who also are facing some significant budget deficits. And so the pushback at the local level is the reason that he's having hard times getting votes in the state legislature.
So what other ideas are out there then?
Well, there's something called a consideration model, which would lower pension costs for the state. It would basically offer workers an option, agree to kind of not get an increase in your pension every year, in which you continue to get pay increases that are counted in your pension, or take that 3% compounded annual increase in your pension benefits, but it more or less would set your pension payment at whatever your current pay is. That model is really complicated. If it were to be passed, it's been talked about for years and got nowhere. If it were to be passed, it would be certainly face a court challenge. So even then, the governor is kind of boxed in with really challenging political realities and not much help from the legislature, and especially the Democratic legislative leaders.
All right, crystal ball here, having you look into it. Is this really kind of going to be a repeat of what we've seen in the past before, where there's no budget, no budget, no budget?
I worry about that. I don't think we're going to get a balanced budget, that's for sure. They may pass a budget and that'll add further to our deficit. We're $7+ billion behind in our paying our bills, and there's almost no provision for doing anything serious about that. So it's a really tight and not very promising times in Springfield.
All right, David Greising, thank you for breaking that all down. I wish there were better news for our state. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's difficult all around. Okay, so you can read more BGA articles at bettergov.org. We're always posting a link too on our website, ABC7Chicago.com. And of course, it's always available on our news app too.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.